Have you ever felt like that you have just like too much pressure to do something, or too much pressure to get something done, or too much pressure to do things a certain way? I've been thinking about pressure, and we have an interesting relationship with it, I think, right? Because I think pressure, as it sort of feels in a natural sense, to me, I would almost want to confuse it with being anxious, with anxiety itself. But pressure feels pretty good, depending on the actions that I take from it, and depending on how I let it out. I guess how I let the sort of steam from the pressure cooker out depends on how well the dish is and how well I kept it under pressure, in like a metaphorical sense. So sometimes I think, especially in the world of bodybuilding, right? If you decide to bodybuild, and let me be clear, any anybody can go on a bodybuilding stage. There's no minimum requirement. You can not try. You cannot put in any effort. You can show up as you are, and the world of bodybuilding will accept you and love you and put you on the stage, right? But when it comes to the actual competition, the actual stage portion, the actual part of bodybuilding, there's there's two things that can happen to you in a bodybuilding show. That's it. You can win or you can lose. There's one winner generally. It's the overall. You either won the whole show or you lost in some sense. But even if you won your class or something, there's always sort of a loss component to bodybuilding. Below that, below the winning and losing, there's one step, and this is for the person who signs up and they did zero preparation to show up for a bodybuilding show. Not only will you take last place if you're this person, but you'll be publicly humiliated. Public humiliation will be your trophy. And how do I say this? From a bodybuilding perspective, if you don't let the pressure in your life, if you don't take on the pressure, your trophy will be getting on stage and being publicly humiliated. And I think a lot of that that I've learned in bodybuilding is really synonymous with life. Pressure is a good thing. We need pressure. We need to feel pressure. I think in today's society, who's taking a large step forward, and it's a huge step forward, I think, for all of humanity to now be conscious of our mental health. I think it's going to be in 50 years the advances that we've taken in the mental health space in community in medical field is going to be as big as the Mayo Clinic had with physically taking care of ourselves in medicine, right? That revolution that went through. So I think we're only on the cusp of mental health, sort of, I don't know, culture, right, and knowledge. But I think one thing that I sternly stand on this rock, and we'll realize. Right now, I think we're very early in the stages of mental health, and one thing that we're seeing is that, like, uh, we're like fucking sick. You know what I mean? Like we all need something up here. You know, whatever you call it, therapy, a Jesus, a fast, whatever you need to do to get right. We all got to figure it out. But I think as we start to know more, and as we actually start to get deeper, and as we start to fix some of the basic mental health things, I think what we'll find is that we'll look back and we'll realize, some of that stuff was from back in the day was pretty good, right? And I think one of the most valued things that we'll find is pressure, right? I think we're confusing in today's society, and I can do this to myself too. I can confuse pressure in the influx of pressure, of that growing intensity of pressure, and I can confuse that as, sorry, this is something that I'm trying to, I can confuse that as me being anxious or me having anxiety. One of my favorite philosophers, Kierkegaard, says anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, right? And I think when I dive into that quote a little bit longer, it's like, if you're anxious, right, it means that you have freedom, you have choice, you have potential ahead of you, right? And so I think to be anxious means that I am dizzy from all this freedom. I'm not making a choice. I'm sort of inactive, right? And I think one of the worst things that you can do, right, by not sort of taking on pressure in your life and letting pressure be by your side and growing comfortable with the feeling of pressure in your life, I think one of the worst things that you do is you sort of end your life or your contest with a trophy of sort of public humiliation. Right, you did kind of poorly. So I say this because within the sort of pain of the pressure, as you sort of break this that seed, let's say, of pressure, or the outside shell, let's say it's full of things that sort of put your body into a shockful, uncomfortable state. Outside of that sort of mean shell, on the inside, there's like a docile, good, clean cut lesson. And I think, if anything, pressure works a lot like a GPS for us in our lives. One of the things that I think is genius about the bodybuilding method is the way that we run contest preps. So the way we'll lay it out is that we'll say, okay, you have a date of competition, right? And some people plan their competitions out 2 years in bodybuilding. They'll say, I need a year to eat up and have my calories go this way, and then I need a year to get baseline, and then I need half a year to cut. Right? That's like a lot of time. That's what I do with a lot of my athletes, and a lot of my athletes that compete. Excuse me. We spend a lot of their years, a lot of their months planning for a day. Now, that to me is the definition of pressure, right? It's crazy. We start the clock, we start counting down. We say 2 years out, 1 year out, right? In the world of bodybuilding, we all are very proud of the pressure that we have taken upon ourselves. In fact, it's a choice. We volunteered up for it. We voluntarily said that I'm going to elect my pressure. I'm going to choose my pressure, even if it's one that it's totally made up and it's totally fantasy and it's posing, and it's a pressure. And the pressure itself, I think, if you let it in your life willingly, voluntarily, you let it be your GPS. You let it sort of shift you and tell you where to go. You let it sort of be your light for each day, because there's different pressures every day. It'll guide you on the best path. The best path, by definition, is when you feel the pressure and scariness of it today, one day you'll look back and you'll laugh that you ever thought it was, fearful. It was only good for you. So I'd say this: if you're feeling some pressure, whatever your pressure may be, let's say you're feeling some pressure, let's say an example, to let's say these next few years of your life, you have a pressure to be an X amount of successful, or an X amount of accomplished, or X amount of something that you want done, and you feel a mad pressure over these few years to do it. Well, I'll say this: your best is yet to come if you allow pressure into your life on a daily basis, right? Let's say the pressure that you can take in, it's like, I'm going to go in units of pain. Let's say you can take 2 punches in the face a day. Then don't try to be a person that takes 5, right? That's like in bodybuilding. That's like if a person tries to diet too fast and lift too much, you'd be overtrained, right? So though we're in the situation where we're going towards this ultimate destiny and pressure is leading us, we still have to know how much of that we can take. And if we take the right amount, right? If a man doesn't shoot too low on his aspirations, but if he overshoots, he's just now arrogant. You got to be right in that sweet spot. And for me, in bodybuilding and in life, the sweet spot has always been sort of discovered via those pressure points where they are. So, okay, if you've been looking back on life and wondering what's been going on, when things went wrong, for me, I always look back at those times and say, how comfortable was I, right? There's nothing wrong with sleeping on silk sheets and sleeping in, but where is your pressure? What pressure are you electing? What pressure are you choosing? But choose your show. That's what bodybuilders do. We feel ourselves getting comfortable when we say, I need to get back on the stage, right? In fact, we have a burning desire to get on stage, right? And I think one of the biggest things that we can do today to, I don't want to say cure anxiety, but move towards one of being the assets that will be hopefully the thing that subdues our national and international state of anxiety. I think it's some real pressure, and not the old school wars that make people feel a real pressure, but people can go out to each of their life, find their passion, do what they love, and put their pressure into that, and put whatever that heavy sensation is into that, whether that's raising your kids or making money to pay bills or whatever that is to be. I'm grateful to have bodybuilding, because for me, I've never done anything so proficient to the point that I could put some real pressure on it and meet those expectations. Lest I live with my trophy of public humiliation for never taking on any pressure. So, okay, that's it. Pressure hurts, it's heavy, but it's so worth it. And it's not a big rah fest for you to go and get tough, but to just, close your eyes and swallow the pill. It just hurts a little bit, and it's got to hurt a little bit in a day if you want it to be good, if you want it to guide you, if you're lost without it. So, as the old saying goes, pressure makes diamonds. Not perfect, better than perfect diamonds, right? So, okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like the video. Leave a comment if you have anything that you'd like to add. My last video, I feel like no one said anything, but people texted me, and so it felt really good for people to personally feel touched enough to sort of go behind the curtain and send me messages about these videos. So that really meant a lot to me. Thank you. Oh yeah, coaching. I coach. I got to talk about. Got on a coaching commercial. I've been coaching a lot of bodybuilders and strength athletes, powerlifters full time. Currently on my roster, I have a lot of people getting busy right now, and it's been really good. It's just been really good. So if you're someone, I gotta be honest, if you're if you're somebody who wants to make for real this time, right? Feel what it's like to take some pressure in your life and do it, and feel what the push feels like, and take it and be ready to absorb it. Those are the type of people I have on my roster currently, and those are the type of people that I'm looking for. So, okay, thank you all for watching this today. The whole point that I'm making these videos on a personal level is that every day I want to make sure that I say something towards true north that feels cathartic for myself and resonates for you. So, okay, thank you. Talk soon.